Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a blessed Sunday. Okay, guys, I want to go ahead and get the housekeeping out of the way. But first, this is Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 10, Episode 3. Trish said she is not the one, Nail. And then Will is Ken's friend. I'm quite sure you guys seen him before on a couple of episodes last season. Like I said, I really didn't watch, but I would catch clips here and there from off of Love and Marriage, Huntsville Instagram page and different things. But anywho, Ken, Will, where have you been? Jalen said, I have a voice. And Maurice, baby, it's not all about you. And I'm beginning to see you think it's all about you. But it's going to be okay. But anywho, guys, hit that like button on your way coming in. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe. Those two things are free. It doesn't cost anything but the movement of your thumb or the click of your mouse. If you are not a subscriber, you don't know where to subscribe, look at the bottom right corner. You'll see the red box that says subscribe. Once this video is done, don't leave now. Click on it and it will take you over to subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. Go ahead and comment. You can comment while you're listening, while it's fresh on your brain, and you can share this video if you would like. But this is the Copyright Act of 1976 under Section 107. This is for fair use purposes and entertainment. This is for news reporting, teaching, and for today, this is strictly about reality news reporting, and we're just going to talk about it. But you guys know my motto is always that jazz. So let me get into everything. I'm drinking my tea as I'm talking because I know y'all could tell this voice is a little raspy, but I'm not putting all the pictures and all that stuff up. We're just going to get into the meat and potatoes. So they began where they left off with Ken, Trish, and Sharon. Ken getting into an altercation with Marquez. For me, it was very short. But what I did not like is the continued confrontation and arguments in front of the son. Regardless if he wasn't there or not, he was upstairs, which brought him downstairs. So you guys need to figure it out. Marquez is not going anywhere. That's his dad. So you guys may have to just tell Marquez, don't come back to your house. And you guys can drop him off. But I don't know if the son drive. I have no idea. So you guys need to come to some other arrangements. For me, Ken, it's never okay to put your hands on anyone. We don't condone violence here over the Dear Read unless you're protecting yourself. Then it's hit or quitter, baby. Hit to quitter. But that was pretty much it for me. I just feel like this situation is out of control. And let's move on to Kimmy and Maurice. Kimmy and Maurice was having a date night. They went outside, really nice. I like how they got everything set up outside and they were sitting around the fire. And Kimmy brought up to Maurice that she went over to Jalen's house and they were hanging out. And she felt like, yes, he's her son, but their relationship has changed. He's more like a friend, a homie. They hanging out. And as moms that has sons or daughters, you guys know your relationship is forever changing. But anywho, Kimmy was like, they were hanging out and she brought up the family business again. And when she said means the family business, Jalen, Monster, Maurice, and her. And she said that the kids have reservations about going into a family business with Maurice because he can be like a dictator. Maurice said, a dictator. And she was like, yeah. And Kimmy was like, you don't want to work. You want because you just want to talk. You want to have the rules. And she was like, we all agree we want less talking and more working. Kimmy, I like Kimmy this season. Well, I mean, she was okay, but she's growing on me because she's telling it like it is. It's almost like she's coming back to that old Kimmy. So she said Jalen brought up maybe there was some missteps with him of Maurice being a father figure. Maurice sat up in his seat like, what? That's the look he had on his face. And Kimmy told Maurice that Jalen said he never felt like Maurice was a father figure. Maurice's face instantly looked puzzled and confused. Then production showed a throwback of Jalen talking with Kimmy, saying that Maurice just never felt like a father figure to him. He was more like a homie. So Jalen said he never made me feel like somebody. On this particular sentence, I went back 3 times and made sure I listened because I wanted to make sure because I couldn't hardly hear. I thought he said someone, but he said somebody. He told Kimmy when production showed the past clips, he said that Maurice never made him feel like somebody. Jalen said as the years went by, he really looked at Marceau like a father. And Kimmy said, she told Maurice, she was like, I think she told Maurice that she said in her confessional. I don't know. I'm still waking up because I watched the video this recording this morning because I worked late last night. She said that she could tell that Maurice said you wouldn't have to he would like to have had an impact on Jalen. But then Kimmy turned around and said, well, at the moment, like a dad, you really could have and I said, for me, not Kimmy, I'm sorry. I said I was reading my notes. But the thing about it is for me, Maurice really, I can see that even without all this being done, I could see when Monster moved in the house, Kimmy was very vocal about all she thought, she was helping him. She didn't know she was going to do all the work. And this is after Jalen had moved out and was in college. So instead of her enjoying, her free time and doing things she wanted to do, she was basically doing what Maurice supposed to do because he was busy in law school, but he still wasn't helping with his son. So this is not far-fetched. I mean, it's surprising what Jalen is saying. And as I go on, you guys are really Jalen is really pulling at my heartstring and everything, because even though he's grown, you can see the look in his eyes of sadness. I think he really would have liked to had a relationship with Maurice more on a father figure level. So let's see here. And I feel like Maurice stayed on the surface at that moment. He missed the mark to tell Kimmy how he could have said, I apologize for your son feeling that way, and going forward, I'm going to do better. But he did not. Classic Maurice. He was pretty much like, I felt like I did this, and this. It was more of an I factor. So anywho, moving on to Chris and Nell Fletcher. Chris and Nell once again was in their kitchen and they were talking, getting food. And Chris was asking her how everything is going. She was talking about her certifications she's doing to bring more money in. And I think she gets extra money. But anywho, the name of her daycare is Growing Smiles. And Chris was saying, yeah, we have the real estate company, the cleaning company, and the daycare. So they sit down and Nell begins to talk about her and Destiny relationship to Chris and why they were eating. So Nell was like telling Chris about Kimmy want them to meet up when they were going to meet up and have the girls were going to eat. And so anyway, she was telling Chris that she really hasn't seen Destiny since you guys remember when Destiny, I don't know, I know she was debuting her candles, and also Madani was, e-commerce, I think online. But you remember she had that opening. Her dad was there. She had that pretty, looked like an Egyptian red outfit. Lance and everyone was there. But anywho, remember when Destiny and Nell not really got into it, but Destiny was talking to Nell about how she felt about Nell inviting Sonny to her bachelorette party and everything. And Nell was like, well, excuse me. Nell was like, pretty much just throwing it off like, I don't know, Sonny, I want to get to know her for myself. And for me, she was saying that Nell was telling Chris that she was going to sit back and see if she in a vet and she was, how can I say this? Nell was telling Chris that she feel like because she's really taught and been there for Destiny, as she want to bring up mentoring again, and I'm air quoting. She was like, you know, when Destiny said that she got to reevaluate our relationship, she was like, okay, but now what I need you to understand at this moment, what you really need to understand at this moment is that it's not a girl code thing, it's just a respect thing. If you were messing with someone, dating or however it was, whatever the case may be, and that person turns around and that person was your boss, quote unquote, or one of your, the person who you told a lot of your business to because they're producing you, and turn around and go and sleep with the man that you've been dating. This person then came and sat and at your birthday party, an intimate birthday party at that, was also your manager, regardless if this person want to say that your friends or not, your friend or not. That was too close for comfort. How would you feel? Or lack thereof, how did you feel when Chris messed around on you? You still reeling from that based on how you talk and act. So my thing is that you could have been cordial to Sonny, but all that stuff that you were doing, you could have just said, "Hey, I invited her because production was there, and she was just she's part of production." But that's just my take on it. But anywho, Nell was just saying that she was in her confessional about her relationship was shaky with Destiny, and I feel like Destiny hadn't spoke to you all this time. You need to let it go. I mean, if y'all haven't spoke since that at her party, her whatever it was, you should just let it go now. So, anywho, I feel like you were way out of pocket with the Sunny situation. So the ladies sit down at dinner. You got Kimmy, Trish, um, Tisha, and Nell. Destiny, Kimmy said Destiny couldn't make it because she was, handling stuff with social media and different things like that. Um, so Kimmy said that Maurice, so before I get to that part, Trish wants to bring up the situation that happened at her house to the ladies and everything. Y'all already know I'm gonna pass that because they're beating a dead horse silly. So, anywho, Kimmy, the women were going around talking about, catching up with what's been going on in their lives. So Kimmy was catching them up with the situation with Maurice and with Jalen. And so Kimmy was like telling them how Jalen feel like Marcel was more like a father figure than Maurice was. And Kimmy said that she could see that because Maurice was hands off. So then Nell, they come to Nell. Nell drops a bomb saying that when they were in LA filming for the reunion, and I think Tisha or somebody asked her, well, why y'all normally stay late? Why do y'all have to leave? She said, we got a phone call from Lance stating that the girl that she didn't even know the girl was dealing with Lance because she thought Lance was still with Destiny or whatever, that he had a baby coming and they needed to get back. Catch this dirt. Nell them didn't even know Lance had a baby. She told the ladies that they found out about the baby and everything was found out that night after the reunion. Found out that he had a baby coming. They didn't know anything about it. And so I can't remember which lady asked her, and they were like, so you just found out? Like, well, I didn't think they were dealing with each other. And then Nell saying Lance had been dealing with the girl for 5 years. So so the ladies was like, oh, so he spent the block. So anyway, Nell was like, yeah. And she was like, well, Lance and Chris, which is Chris Jr., their babies are 5 months apart. So Tisha was like, well, I'm confused now because you know, I thought you was cool with Destiny and also with the situation with Lance. And Destiny, hey, Destiny and Tisha, they girls. So Destiny was seeing it for Sunny and stuff like that. So anywho, Nell was like, Nell got offended. Nell gonna get offended. So Nell got offended. And so Nell was like, I don't get in his business like that. And I did see it for Nell. I mean for Destiny, but I don't now. And so Kimmy came in trying to explain to Nell where Tisha was coming from because, you know, Nell and Destiny hung out and did all these things and saying that Destiny had to find out on the social media. So now we all know, based on this episode, that Nell couldn't really tell Destiny, so she's saying, because she didn't find out until the night of the baby was coming. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe more come out about that. I don't know. So then Nell was in her feelings and she was like, okay, I'm a counteract. She asked Kimmy when the commercial came back on, she asked Kimmy and Tisha, well, how did y'all feel about Martell's interview and what he said about your husband? Challenge, baby, the kahunas of it all, to ask the women that question. Ooh, baby. I said, baby, curb left, curb left, curb left, Nell. Warning, warning. So Tisha was like, well, first Kimmy was like, I didn't like it. She said, I didn't like it at all. And Maurice didn't like it as well. And so, I said to myself, I said, baby, this is not a good look. Let me see. Tisha said, okay, so baby, Tisha said, if you want to know, Trish asked Tisha how she felt. And Tisha said, if you want to know how I felt, you can go to Instagram because Marceau and I, or she said, my husband and I discussed it on Instagram and we did our live. Tisha said, you are not going to create my story anymore. I don't really know who she was saying. And maybe she was saying allegedly that Martell is not going to use her as a storyline or anything like that. And I don't blame her. You know, I am so sorry, y'all. My I really need my tonsils taken out, but I'm too old for that. But anywho, then Trish said in her confessional, Tisha said in her confessional, I'm like an open book, but I don't even feel like Nell is being transparent. Tisha said there are some things I hear in the streets that are going on about Miss Nell, but she didn't say Miss Nell, I'm saying Miss Nell, that she doesn't speak about. And she said, she said, girl, do you speak? She said, girl, speak on what you want to speak on. That was she was pretty much saying to Miss Nell. Girl, speak on what you want to speak on. Because she know Nell is not being transparent. Tisha then said at the table, if we have a problem with someone, we need to talk to that person instead of talking to others. And everybody was like, yeah. Everybody was like, yeah. And Nell said, I don't have a problem with anyone at this table at the moment. That's what Nell said. But if I do, I'll let you know. Then Trish said, yeah, I was telling Kimmy, I don't know about Trish, not Trish, Tisha. Tisha was, I may have to start saying Latisha because the T's get me mixed up. Then Letitia was like, yeah, I was telling Kimmy, I don't know about the Fletcher's baby. And I said, baby. I said, ooh, baby. Let me get a drink. Hold on. Sorry about that. My sinuses, guys, you can tell my sinuses are messing up. It's a hot mess. So just don't worry about the extra coughing and but anyway, Tisha said, I told Marcel, have you talked to Chris? Because even when Chris made that statement, here goes production. When Letitia said that, production showing Chris having a conversation with someone. You remember when Chris made the statement, it sounds like if it sounds like Maurice and Marceau, the Scots, it sounds like those Scots having side chicks sign NDAs. You remember he was trying to he said it don't sound like Martell, it sound more like the Scots. Kimmy said Maurice felt the way when Chris said that. I feel something is brewing with these ladies at the table. That's what I said. But moving on to Maurice and Jalen. Maurice met Jalen at this little pub or whatever. They were shooting pool. And Jalen, Maurice was talking to him, asking him how everything going with, his properties or whatever, and asked him about him dealing with moving over into the IT sector. And Jalen was like, "Yeah, I'm venturing into the IT sector, and I was thinking about moving to Colorado because he has an interview for a job offer, and if he gets it, he was thinking about moving to Colorado." Jalen was like, over the years, I've learned a lot about the skies. Baby, when he said that, I hollered. And Maurice looking like, well, what you trying to say? That was the look he had on his face. Jalen was telling him how he felt, because Maurice brought it up about him and Kimmy was talking. He was like, "Yeah, I talked to your mom and she told me how you felt like Marcel was like a father figure to you." And Jalen was telling him, you know, how he felt when he was under the roof. He felt like Maurice would ask him to do things when Monster was sitting right there with him and they playing the video game, but he would never ask Monster to do anything. And Maurice was like, you know, I don't know why Maurice was acting like he was I don't know, like in his feelings. He kept getting in his feelings. And then Jalen also told Maurice that you were dating my mom, and I felt like if things didn't work out, I didn't want to get too close to you. So for that child at that time to feel like that, he was seeing things because I don't know if you guys remember, we all kept saying, we kept wondering if Jalen, well, I know I did, wondering if Jalen was picking up on any of how Maurice was with Kimmy and stuff. And this is when I was, watching and reviewing, because you know how Maurice was just doing what he wanted, forgot about Kimmy, just all kind of stuff, putting her in predicaments, how he had her to he set up the meeting to meet with Kawa and her husband, but he didn't show up to call Kimmy once she there at the last minute saying, "Oh, she can handle it," and all those things. But anywho, let's see. So for me, I was like that spoke volumes for Jalen to tell, Maurice when he was dating his mom, he didn't want to get too close to him in case it didn't work out. I was like, damn, Maurice started to tell Jalen, you need, when you marry or date someone who has children, it's a choice that you make to be in those children's life. Maurice, this is what I'm talking about right here. What is that supposed to mean? It don't, and if y'all could have seen the look, the way Jalen eyes look, it, at that time, Maurice, that was some bull crap. That was some bull crap. You didn't have to, you want to let him know I made a choice to be in your life. That when you coming in dealing with other kids, man, get out of here. You a mess. I don't understand the bull crap with him. But anyway, anywho, the moment I was looking in Jalen's eyes, like I said, and I could see that he just left the room. His like he was there, but he just left. It's like he felt sad when based on what he was saying. Maurice, you always in your feelings. In the moment Jalen tell you how he feel, you want to get defensive. This is how I feel. And so then I said, but you in your feelings about who he's feeling as a dad or a father figure, and you're in your feelings, but you ain't telling him nothing at that moment. You're not saying to him, you're not telling him, and that's where it stops and then go to commercial. But to me, Maurice, you had this meeting, so you could have gotten your thoughts together. Your vernacular is well documented. So you could have really said more than what you said instead of being defensive. It wasn't about you. You're the grown up. Even though Jalen is grown up now, you were under the roof. You was under this child's roof in his mom's home, and him in his mom's home. And you come in there and saying you made a choice. No, the moment you decided to date his mom and move in that under that roof, well, move under the roof, because you could have dated her and not been under the roof. You made a choice to be a parent, step parent, or whatever. So it wasn't a choice that you had a decision, because I would hope Kimmy wouldn't let you make that type of decision about her child. You move in and decide that you didn't want to deal with him. So anywho, came back from the commercial, and Ken, Chris Fletcher, and Will, which is Ken's friend, they were sitting down having a meeting. And Ken was telling Chris and his friend about the, altercation and what happened. So basically, Will and Chris had this look on their face, and it was so refreshing to have men, grown men, not males, say what should have been said to Ken. Ken needed to hear this, which he did not want to hear it. So Ken was just talking and talking. And so he said, I cannot remember what Ken said, but Chris was like, because he keeps saying, Ken said, Marquez is the problem. Everything goes smooth with Trish and I. We don't have no problems, no nothing until Marquez come in the picture. And Ken was, and then so Chris was like, Chris, you know what? Let me tell you something, baby. You know your shade be on point. He was like, so it's taking 7 to 8 years to get to that. So basically, Ken was just like, yeah, I don't think that Marquez may be the problem, but it's more to it. So anywho, Ken was talking, kept talking, and then I think Chris asked Will, but I know Ken asked Will, but Chris asked Will too, like, how he feel about it. And Will was like, hey, I'm just looking at everything across the board. And I feel like, Ken is not really looking at what's really going on. So Ken was like, pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, but Ken pretty much asked Will, like, okay, so what would you do? I want to say Ken or Chris. I don't matter. It don't matter who asks. But anywho, when Will was asked that question, if he was in that situation, what would he do? He spreaded the muscle arms and said, well, if I'm looking at the whole picture from beginning to now, Trish would have been gone. Baby, let me clap. Thank you. And baby, Ken looked over like, I wrote down that Ken looked over like, Ninja, are you serious? And also production showed a throwback of Ken and Will sitting in Will's establishment. And Will was telling telling Ken then, I feel like, you're a you're a punching bag. Trish is just doing all this stuff and you just taking it. Like, when is enough going to be enough? That's what production has shown. And so for me, I just say Chris and Will held his feet to the fire, and Chris, oh, that was Chris. I wrote in my notes. Chris asked Will, what would he do if he was in that situation? So Chris asked Will that. And so, like I said, he said Will said Trish would have been in the past. So anywho, and then like I said, Ken looked like, damn, really, Ninja? And then the commercial came on. But this is my thing. Ken, you really, really, it's not even just a Ken problem. Ken, let me tell you, Marquez is never going to go anywhere. Never. Those are his children. Excuse me. Regardless of what Trish feels or you, excuse me, good Lord. I'm sorry. I'm not cutting this out. Regardless of what you feel or what Trish feel, those are his children. But you guys you should have been put boundaries down and had Marquez to not come. Y'all had issues with him coming to the house when y'all had the graduation party for your son. So y'all should have put boundaries and said, look, when you picking up the kids, let them come out to the car or we'll meet you somewhere. For me, Ken, that's the other thing Will said. Will said that Ken he told Ken this to his face. He was like, you trying to make something work when I'm paraphrasing because I didn't write all this stuff down. He trying to make something work when he know it's not going to work. And instead of just going ahead and taking the L, he'll rather try to keep, pushing down, making it work when things are not working, instead of just going on. Pretty much what he said to him in the past episodes, so, but Ken didn't like that. Ken, for me, you and Trish have problems, and you are really, really, to me, making Marquez the scapegoat. Even though, yes, Marquez has some issues, but let's take Marquez out of the equation. Before Marquez even came on the screen, you and Trish was having y'all own problems. So once Marquez is taken out of the situation, you and Trish have some really concerning underlining factors. Number one, the divorce. So if y'all would have never came on this show, she'd have still, well, and I don't think you guys are divorced yet, allegedly. You can't, I don't know. And I'm not going to pull it up, waste my time or money to pull it up. Trish is doing what she wants to do. And this is not even your fight. That's not even your wife. You are going at it with Marquez, trying to make a situation work with Marquez. Like Chris Fletcher told you, it's really not your place to do that. Chris told him that. Now it's coming back to me. Chris told him it's not his place. So Ken, regardless of what you put on Marquez, you're putting everything on Marquez. You and Trish do not have a great relationship. You do not. You don't. Take away the gym, take away y'all working out. If y'all take that away, what else do y'all do in y'all relationship? Do y'all sit down and have meaningful conversations? What else do y'all do besides work out together? What else? I want to know. Because I feel like Marquez, I'm going to tell you, a lot of times people, let's say for you in a relationship or you in a friendship, and it's a lot of bickering and everybody got an issue with you. But I've noticed, and I've done studies on this, when you remove yourself out the situation, then nobody can say anything. And Marquez, that's what you need to do. Remove yourself out the situation and just deal with your children. Your children are big enough. You got a grown son. And that's the other thing. I'm glad I brought this up. When Ken went and put his hands on Marquez, and Marquez, it was a lot. Everything was moving so fast. The sun came down, and this speaks volumes. So if anybody want to see how this young man feel about his dad, go and look at how when they was getting into it, he came down very calm, very calm. He seemed like he got kind of like Trish demeanor, but he came down very calm. And he went to go get his dad. And Marquez snatched away from him and went outside. And he followed his dad outside. Because I've seen children, if they don't care for their parent, they're going to go and check on the mom, the stepdad, or whatever. So for me, I don't think that his son, like even when that situation with Sharon and Trish last episode when he came down and got his dad, I think he doesn't want anything to happen to his dad. I think for me, Ken, you was wrong. You was dead wrong for being aggressive and putting your hands on someone. Okay, you asked him to leave your house, but if he didn't leave your house, call the popos. Call the popos and say, I want him out my house. Marquez, you should have left. But Marquez, stop going in them people's house. But anyway, let me go ahead and move on. So the commercial end, and after that, let me see. Situation. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, so Trish, Kimmy, and Maurice and Marceau. Let me make sure that's right. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So the couples, not Trish, the couples, Marceau, Letitia, Kimmy, and Maurice was sitting down. They were having dinner because Kimmy had called. I don't know who called, man. It don't even matter, it's true. But anywho, they were sitting down and they were having dinner. And they were having a conversation about I think Kimmy asked how everything been going and everything, and they were talking about Marceau and Letitia was talking about their son. He had won an award, and Kimmy was like, oh, because she is in love with her nephew, and so she was just saying, has he Kimmy asked, has he chosen a college or whatever, or heard about from many colleges? And Trish was like, Letitia, I'm telling you, I get these names messed up. Letitia was stating no, he hasn't heard anything, which is unusual. And then they brought up, Letitia brought up the DEI situation because, they dismantling DEI in colleges and stores and different things. But anywho, then Marcel was like, yeah, with this DEI situation, DEI, not DUI, DEI situation, he feels like, that's one of the main reasons they wanted to have the combat group. So they wouldn't have to uh, ask anybody anything. They have their own stuff, so they make their own decisions. So, anywho, Marceau began to talk about telling the group that Jaden stopped by and was asking him about different contractors and things of that nature. So Maurice, once again, you can see the little dent in his forehead, say, "Oh, he came to you for help." I was like, Lord have mercy. So, anywho, while that's going on, production shows Marceau and Jalen having a conversation. And Jalen tells Marceau that he looks at him like a father figure. And Marceau was like, if you looked at Marceau's face, Marceau was like, he was stunned. He was stunned. I think he kind of knew it, but for Jalen to say it, and Jalen looked him straight in the eyes and told him. And so Marceau was asking Jalen, what do you consider Maurice? And Jalen said, I consider him like a big brother. Marceau looked really concerned. So it went from surprise to concern. And for me, regardless of whatever has been said about Marceau, I know Marceau loves his children. And this is a different side of Marceau because once I begin to talk to you guys, he's really going to hold Maurice's feet to the fire. And yes, a lot of times Letitia, was upset back in the past because he really wasn't helping out with the kids. She was doing most of the work and everything. I'm beginning to see a different Marceau. I don't know if anything with the separation had to do with it, but I'm beginning to see a different Marceau so far. Gotta wait because he's kind of tricky. So, anywho, Maurice says in his confessional he doesn't know why Marceau is bringing up Monster and Jalen because Marceau brought up that Jalen said that he feels like Maurice cares more for Monster because he's his son than Jalen. And so, let me see, that's because he wasn't listening. Oh, okay. And then Maurice said in his confessional that he doesn't understand that because he felt like his conversation when he met up with Jalen went well. And I wrote down because you wasn't listening to Jalen. You really wasn't listening to him, especially when you made that comment before the commercial and you guys segment went off when you telling Jalen, well, it was a choice for me to, want to be in your life. That let me know you didn't hear him. Hold on. I had to turn the fan on. That let me know you didn't hear him. And so, anywho, he said, and then Maurice is going to say at the table, I chose to be a father to him. Once again, he's using that verbiage. And Kimmy was like, I could tell, Kimmy said, I can tell he wasn't feeling it. She said she could tell that Maurice didn't have feelings for Jalen. And she and then said, and Kimmy said she had a conversation with Maurice that about his treatment with Jalen was different than Monster when they were in the house. So while Jalen was in the house with Monster, Kimmy had this conversation, and that may have been some reasons too. She had, and I'm gonna say allegedly, had to get that support dog because she was like, going through so much stuff. I'm not saying that was it, but it could have been a number of things because what mom want to deal with that? So Marceau said if you're going to start off your sentences with a but, then Maurice got defensive. Marceau said, it's hard for me to even talk to you sometimes. And oh boy, Maurice was not happy. So Marceau said, he's like, I grew up with the golden child, meaning Maurice was the golden child. So Marceau says, so I know what Jalen is saying, and I know how he feel growing up with Golden Child 2.0, which is Monster. Baby, Trish, God, y'all bear with me. Bear with me with the Letitia and Kimmy was like, dang. They said dang out loud. I was like, oh, baby, this is getting hot like fire. Marceau said, and that's why he says he gets it. Maurice is upset, and he's saying he doesn't know where Marceau is getting this from. He was saying that in his confessional. Then Maurice burst out and said, you sound like, he told Marceau, you sound like Chris Fletcher. Or he just said Chris, but I said Chris Fletcher. I don't know where you're getting this from. Maurice is pissed, and he's telling Marceau, you don't even tell the truth. Marceau, I don't know if y'all noticed when Marceau's like, you trying him, that those two, the eyebrows go in like, ninja, what? And then Marceau said, what do you think I'm lying about, Maurice? What do you think I'm lying about? He said, you lie all the time. Baby, while Letitia and Kimmy was sipping on her wine, and Letitia was looking like, honey, ooh, child. And I was like, ooh, baby. I said, these Scott boys are over here going head to head. And then it was a commercial. And then they came back and they're showing next week that Jalen, Maurice, and Marceau are having a sit down. And Jalen says, the more I think about it, and this is next week's episode 4. The more I think about it and look at it, this is not really a family, more like a family. It's more like it's more like a dictatorship. You're a dictator. He was telling Maurice. Baby, Marceau face. You know how Marceau face look when he's not getting, Marceau ain't gaslighting. But you know, back in the days when he would gaslight you and he had this like smile on his face, it's not so much his lips are smiling, but his whole face got like a smile on it. Baby, he was looking like that, and Maurice was looking pissed. You hear me? Maurice was looking pissed. But the thing about it is, that's all the notes I have. But the thing about it is, this is what it comes down to for me. Maurice, you got to get out your feelings. And the thing about it is, this is not something new. Kimmy said she had the conversation with you saying she feels like, and this was when all y'all was under the roof. So this is not something just happened. She told you she feels like you are treating Monster differently than Jalen. So don't get mad when this young man feels like, and I'm so glad Jalen is standing 10 toes down. He's not changing what he said in front of what he said to his mama. He's saying the same thing to you and more. So the thing about it is, instead of you trying to rectify the situation, Maurice, you're like pretty much saying, I chose to be a father to you. I chose to do this. Well, you know what? You did a stand-up job because he don't feel it. He felt exactly what you put out. What you put out is what he felt. So don't get mad at this young man, this grown man, for telling you how he felt. And he also told you that he didn't get close to you just in case you and his mama didn't work out. So that meant that even we seen it, even that child seen it at the time, that you were not doing right by his mother. Okay? So just because Kimmy may sweep some things under the rug of how she feels, Jalen don't have to do that. And it seems like Uncle Marceau is going to stand up for him because Marceau is pissed with you, Maurice, on how you treated him. And now he's finding out because Marceau was like, this is not happening. This is not going to go down. And I feel Marceau is honored that Jalen looks at him like a father figure. I really feel like he look at him more than just a father figure. And for me, for Marceau, for Jalen to say that, that means that Marceau is more of a man than what we know, because we don't get to see Marceau all the time and as a father role and all this stuff. So for that child and that young man to see that in Marceau, and he's standing 10 toes down on it, and baby, he's dragging Maurice through respectfully. He's not disrespecting, but you know, the whole point is, thank you, Marceau, for being able to really give him what he needs. Because at the end of the day, we all went off the narrative. I went off the narrative of what I've seen of how you talk to Letitia. But there are some ways you can be, you know, at that time a crappy husband, but a good dad. So, anywho, I just want to say kudos to you, Marceau. Will, where have you been? Nobody's gonna tell Ken like you do. Uh-huh. Even if he denied, baby, Will standing 10 toes down on it. That's right. And I don't think Ken liked it. But guess what? It is what it is. And then Ken and Will have it's called a Two Wicked, it's number two Wicked podcast. And I don't know if it's on YouTube, but you can pull it up on Instagram. And while I'm talking about Will, let me you know what? I don't even have it on here. I was gonna bring his picture up, but anywho, y'all see the picture on the thumbnail, but I was going to let me see if I can bring it up. Let me see. Can I add it? Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me save it. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna bring it up. This is another photo. Oh, I don't need to share that. I can just bring it up. Hold on. I should have brought it up. But anywho, let me show y'all this screenshot of him. That's him right there working out. That's Will. And then you guys see, seeing him on the post. Yeah, I don't know what I did with that screenshot. It's on my phone, but I don't want to deal with that. But anywho, that's Will. That's one of his photos. And then the other one's on the thumbnail. But guys, what I want to say is that at the end of the day, for me, is that Trish and Ken Marquez, get y'all stuff together. Nobody don't have time for y'all to be acting like y'all don't got no damn sense in front of this boy. Y'all are not teaching him. Ken, you're not even teaching him how to be a man. You're not teaching him how to be a man. You want to talk about Marquez? You're not teaching him how to be a man. You teaching him that you can't handle your anger, that you want to put your hands on people. Okay. And just because, and Trish, you know, y'all putting this paper in this man's face or whatever, get y'all, Marquez, keep your butt from over at them people's house. Pick your children up outside, or just have them, have Trish or well, no, just have them come outside. And park out by the mail route. Don't even drive in their driveway. Don't drive in the driveway. Stay on the public road part of it. I'm so sick of y'all three. Like, Ken, you in the la la land thinking that Marquez is the reason why you and Trish having any problems y'all do have. Y'all having problems because, look, my boy, if Trish valued you, she would have divorced Marquez years ago. That's the same thing that we tell women. I'm telling you. You are the side dude, regardless of what you say. It don't matter if you paying bills. It don't matter if you sleeping with her, if you taking care of the kids. If she value you, have some self-respect for yourself, man. Dang, she don't value you. There is no way. The same thing we tell women, why are you with a man for X amount of years and you know that he's married? Or why? I think that's why you're going so hard trying to, you know, fix the situation, because you can't fix this. No one can fix Trish except God and Trish. Trish need to be honest with you. Trish need to be honest with you. Like I said before, take away y'all working out in the gym, take away all of that, and take Marquez out the equation. Marquez, take go pick your kids up and stay away from them too. You don't have to talk to either one of them. The only time y'all two need to come into the same area if the kids ever go to the hospital and sick, or if you know if it's a baby shower, if your son have a baby, or whatever the case may be, y'all be cordial then. But other than that, you don't need to have your butt in their house. Dang. And then the other thing, now stop being delusional. Stop being delusional. You're very delusional when you okay. You if you're giving someone teachable moments because you're older and you're like, oh, I'm mentoring this person, mentoring that person. Stop saying you're mentoring and you're just being a homegirl and you're talking to people they talking to you about their problems. Stop saying that. You know Destiny is the wrong one to think that you're going to talk to her crazy any kind of way. Destiny will get you together, really together. So when you have that conversation with Destiny, you better be ready. You better be ready. Because at the end of the day, if you want to play in a young person's world, you can't expect to be treated by your age. You're going to be treated equal, equal. And you see, Letitia is here for it. She's gathering you together respectfully. Yeah, she's gonna eventually, her mom gonna know what's going on. But Letitia's doing a really good job on her own. I like you now, but you need to bring your own business, like Letitia said. Bring your own stuff out. Because baby, if you don't bring it out, if I was you, Letitia, I would. Anywho, what else I want to say? Bravo to Kimmy for really, really saying what she has to say, and not letting Maurice scapegoat when it comes to her son. And for me, I really just think that this overall was a great episode. It was very impactful. It hit on DEI situations. It hit on step parenting, how it looks when a child of blended family don't feel like they're being loved. It shows that women can get together and have a conversation and, bang it out, disagree, and shade each other, and go on. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen next episode because it don't look too well at the cowboy, the hold down, the birthday thing. But this was great. I really, really. It was so much content that I had to try to narrow it down. That's why I was stumbling over my words because there was so many things that I'm trying to remember that happened. And it was a lot of other things, but I'm trying to take the most out of it and give it to you guys. But I just like how every episode from the one with Ken and Tristan at the beginning, I'm glad it was very like a blip on the screen because I wasn't really seeing that. I just don't like children. I don't care if they're 18 or not, to be in not only grown folk situations, but confrontation. Ken, you was wrong. You was dead wrong for putting your hands on that man. That man didn't put his hands on you. Okay, yeah, you wanted him out at your house, but there was other ways to go about it. You're very aggressive. You're very aggressive. Now, if Marquez would have put his hands back on you, there's nothing you could have done because you are the aggressor. And Trish, for you to think that's funny and for that to happen in front of your son, you a hot mess too. You a hot mess. I like you, but what we do as content creators, most of us, we don't have a bias. So if any of them do something wrong, I'm going to call them out on it. Guys, this was season 10, episode 3. I really, really loved it. It was impactful. It was a lot of content. I may do some clips off stuff I missed, but this was very impactful. Very impactful. I love the way the men said, Chris, we're going to need you to hone in on yourself a little bit more because, they're talking and saying some stuff in the streets. But I really like everybody that's on there. I like everybody. I don't dislike anyone. I don't dislike anyone. I think Ken, it wouldn't hurt for you and Trish to have some time apart to really see where you guys are going and let Trish get her business together, her handle her business. But like Will was trying to tell you, you really do need to do that. But you're not hearing it. You ain't want to hear nothing that Will said. But Will, stay on that neck. Please stay on that neck. This is Dear Ree. Until next time, hit that like button. If you didn't hit it on your way coming in, hit it on your way going out. Drop them comments. Tell me what you think. I'm a little scatterbrained and sleepy this morning, but I wanted to get this review out this morning because I know some of other content creators that I watch are giving their review, and I like my review to be my review out of my own words. So I try to make sure that I give my own opinion on things before I go over and watch my other fellow content creators. Thank you. Until next time, peace and soul. Love you all. Mwah.